Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be looking at how do you graph quadratics when they're given to you in standard form. Just a reminder, this is the normal version. If you would like the speedrun version where we go pretty quickly, I will link that in the description below. All right, your 30-second recap starts now. Here's what you have to know before you start this lesson. Okay, you should already know something about quadratic equations and how to find the vertex, right? You do that negative b over 2a, then you take that x value, plug it in, and that gives you your vertex, okay? You should already know how to do that. You should also know how to find the y-intercept. Remember, it's the c value in standard form. You could also plug in 0 for the x's, and that will give you the y-intercept. If you are not comfortable with either of these things, I will link a refresher video in the description below. Please go watch that and learn this stuff before you attempt the lesson. All right, here we go. Today's lesson. It says graph the function, all right? And it gives us some algebra here. So let's do purple today. All right, we should already know how to do this negative b over 2a. So we need our vertex, right? So let's start with the vertex, okay? Oh, that is too ugly. Vertex. For the vertex, we do negative b over 2a, so that would be negative 8 over 2 times 4, which gives us negative 1. Then we take that negative 1, we plug it in for all the x's. So like this, we should know how to do this, right? Because this was the previous video. And this will give us, let's see, 4 minus 8, negative 4. And this should give us negative 9, right? 1, 4. I'm going too fast. 4 times 1 is 4, minus 8 minus 5. 4 minus 8 is negative 4, negative 9. All right, so our vertex is at negative 1, negative 9. So that's the first point we're going to put on the graph. So negative 1, negative 9 is here. All right, there's our vertex. And now we need to come up with some other points. The easiest thing you should always check first is the y-intercept, right? And remember, we should know that that's the c value. So I know that the y-intercept is at negative 5, okay? And this is perfect because quadratic, so first off, this is the vertex, right? So we know that our quadratic is going to come up like this. And we know it's a U shape. And it gets split down the middle, right, by the vertex. So that means that this splits exactly even down the middle, which means that if this point is here, then if I count in towards the center, so remember, it has to, let's draw an imaginary line through the middle, right? That means there has to be another point here because it has to be symmetrical, right? It has to match. And so now we can draw our graph. Okay, just a rough U, but here it is. All right. All right, time to practice. Here's our cool clock for today. So go ahead and pause the video, try these two on your own, and when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, you should have gotten a vertex of negative 1, 6. The y-intercept is 0, 7. And then you just plot sort of its symmetrical point, and here is your graph. And for the second graph, you should have gotten a vertex at 2, 8. Your y-intercept is 0, 0. So this is the U shape. I'm sorry, the upside down U shape, the frowny face. And this is what your graph should sort of look like. Now, for this next problem, we are going to start the same way. So let's calculate our vertex. All right, so here's the calculation for the vertex, right? You get negative 2, 1. Again, we should know how to do that at this point. So negative 2, 1 goes here. And now what we have been doing is we've been looking at the y-intercept, right? However, this y-intercept at 0, 17 does not fit on a graph, right? The number is too big. So we need to come up with some different points. My suggestion would be try numbers that are close to your vertex, meaning, so you know at negative 2 you hit 1. So let's try negative 1, right? Let's see what happens if we plug in negative 1. So again, go back to your function, 4 times negative 1 squared plus 16 times negative 1 plus 17. This would give me 4 minus 16 plus 17. This would give me negative 12 plus 17, which is 5. Okay, And so when we plug in -1, we get 5. So this is our x and y. And so this point we can put on the graph, right? That's not too big. So -1, 5 is here. And now once we have that point, remember we can plot its mirror image, so here. And now we draw our graph. All right, so if you can't use the y-intercept, try plugging in numbers that are close to the vertex. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video. Try these two on your own. When you're ready, unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, you should have gotten a vertex at -3, -8, and then I tried plugging in -2 and got -5. So here is your graph. And for the second problem, you should have gotten a vertex at -4, -3. I tried plugging in -3 and got out -2, so that was my second point. And here is the graph. All right, last type of problem here. All right, lots of fractions, looks ugly. Okay, and it is a little bit ugly because when you start off by doing your vertex, right, you're going to do x equals -b over 2 times a. And so then you're going to have -7 over 2 over 2 times -1/4. All right, and this is what's known as complex fractions, right? Because they look a little complex. You've got fractions and more fractions. So let's simplify this a little bit. This becomes 7 over 2 divided by 2 times -1/4. You can do that by hand, calculator, whatever. This will give you -1/2. All right. And now all this is saying, right, this is saying 7 over 2 divided by, right, that divided by is the big fraction bar, divided by -1/2. And this you should know how to do by hand. If you don't, I guess you could plug it into a calculator. But this will give us 7 over 2 times -2 over 1, which gives us -14 over 2, which gives us -7. Now, there is a way to plug that whole thing into the Desmos calculator. That's the one I use. You could do, let's see, 7 over 2 divided by -1/2. Right, and it'll also give you the same answer. So either way, you need to be able to come up with -7. All right, and now, okay, let's make this a little bit easier on ourselves. Let's type the original function, which is -1/4 x squared minus 7 over 2x minus 33 over 4. Okay, and now we want to plug in this -7, right? So let's replace all of these x's with -7 and let the calculator do the ugly fractions for us. Okay. Oh, I typed this wrong. That's why. Parentheses. Here we go. All right. So when we plug in -7, we are getting +4. So that's our vertex. Cool. We have our vertex at -7, 4. So let's just put that on the graph now, I guess. -7, +4. And now we can't use the y-intercept again, right? Because 33 over 4, let's see what that is as a 33 divided by 4 is 8.25. Okay, we can't put that point on the graph really. So we need to plug in numbers close to the vertex, right? So this is -7, right? So let's try -6. And I should not have, let's go back. All right, let's try plugging in -6 and see what happens. When we plug in -6, we're getting, all right, we're getting another decimal that we can't use. So let's go another number. Let's go -5. All right, let's try some close numbers. And that gives us a number we can use, right? -5, 3. So -5, 3 is here. Oops. -5, 3 is here. And now we can do our mirror image, right? So the mirror image of that would be, let's see here. And now we have our graph, okay? So if the number right next to it doesn't work, then you might have to try another number. I would highly recommend a calculator for the complex fractions. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video. Try these on your own. When you're ready, unpause. We'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, you should have gotten a vertex of -6, 8. I tried -5 and -4. They both didn't work, but when I tried -3, I get a nice point. So here's your graph. And for the second problem, you should have gotten a vertex of 3, -6. And then this one, you could use the y-intercept, right? Because it's just a -3. It's a low enough number. So that gives you your points, and here's your graph. All right, that is it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.